What's going on, everybody? It's Kellen Brower here from Start Your Systems. Welcome back to Motocross Gaming News, where today we're going to talk about some leaked footage that is now available for Motocross the Game from their pre-alpha that has actually been put out to some of the early backers that spent over a certain amount of money can now play the pre-alpha game of Motocross the Game. They're not supposed to share this, but somebody did. Somebody put it on YouTube, and then it ended up on Vital, and it is off to the races from here. I don't think they're stoked, but either way, they're letting some people at least talk about it now since it's out to the public and they can't really hide it. So we're going to go ahead and show off that footage to you guys, then we'll react to that footage, talk about some of the things we're seeing. We're going to get into that and talk about the roadmap and what's been going on behind the scenes with the game and some other steps that they have taken along the way in the past few months as we continue to see positive steps being taken with the game as we inch closer and closer to what potentially should be the release at the end of 2025. So obviously it starts off and shows us what our first-person camera might look like. And also, you have to take this with a grain of salt because it's alpha footage. They don't even have the rider model in-game yet. They've shown us some of the animation stuff, which I'll show you guys in a second. But this is basically just to show the base physics of what the bike-to-ground physics and bike-to-air physics will look and feel like to a degree. There's still going to be a lot of changes with this. I don't expect this to look exactly the same way at launch. In fact, I think it's going to even get a lot better than this, which is incredible given how well it looks. But obviously, this is some sort of like loading map / compound thing that they have, which is just some standard tabletops and doubles on this little outside square track. And then they'll go inside and ride the Supercross track. And that's when you really get a chance to see the bike physics and how the suspension interacts with the ground and different things like that as well. But from a first-person standpoint, I already feel like this is a better first-person camera than Supercross the Game, and this is in Unreal Engine 5, which Supercross 25 is as well. So this is 8 months of these guys working on this project, giving us this so far, versus Supercross 25, which we're 9 years basically into the project of that game being developed. And it's in the same engine, so they can't really complain about, oh, you know, like it's a completely different mode or genre. And if you're confused about Motocross the Game, this is going to come to consoles. This is PS5, Xbox Series X and S. This is PC, and I think it's going to be available in some other options too. But this is a full cross-play game that they fully expect to have happen. We'll talk about the roadmap in a second, but just look at the physical aspect of this game, the way the suspension reacts. Yes, it's kind of floating on the ground, if you will, because it's not digging ruts into the ground or anything like that. But just from an actual physical standpoint of what the bike is doing, insane already. I mean, the suspension works incredible. I feel like it's got gravity correct, which is like it jumps far enough and long enough and all that stuff like that. And we even get a little fun tip over here at the end. So I mentioned the animations that we've already seen, which I realized I never actually put a video out on our channel displaying it, but we have a YouTube short up. This is the animations that were pre-alpha, work in progress. They put these out like 3 weeks ago now, just to show how the bike moves, the suspension moves, how it reacts. And then specifically, these are some rider animations that we have so far. And you can see a lot of forward and back movement and the bars turning with the rider and the shoulders and stuff like that. Again, this is all in pre-alpha, but so far, to me, this looks incredible for, again, like 8 months to a year of work so far. So where are we at? As of right now, you can go to motocrossthegame.com and see a lot of stuff that is going on. There's roadmap, news, and all this information that keeps coming out. In fact, they haven't posted a news article in about 2 months now, but this, was the last update that they had talking about going to Race Tech Suspension and learning the science of suspension behind the scenes. It's a really fascinating read if you guys have time for that. And then I think we already discussed the animations part 1, where they were talking about motion capture and doing these things where, obviously they're putting all these things on someone and actually using motion capture to do some stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. But roadmap is where I really want to kind of hit on the progress so far here today, because again, phase 1, they already were working on phase 1 kind of behind the scenes, and phase 2 as well. Start the game development, work on some features, get industry connections and stuff like that. And phase 3 is where it finally became real to the public. It announced the project. They launched the Kickstarter, which the Kickstarter was fully funded. We already talked about that as well. Build the official game compound and increase the development team. They've hit all those markers, and now we are on to phase 4. The alpha has been released to Kickstarter backers that I believe spent $500 or more, so they have access to alpha gameplay now, which is where this leak came from. Someone with alpha access posted this leak and put it up on Vital for everyone to see, but it sounds like, they just are like running with the punches with it a little bit and letting people see this now since it's been posted. But definitely an interesting situation over there. Either way, alpha has been released. Kickstarters can now play it. They're now working on multiplayer, and there's also a to be announced thing coming soon. So that'll be fun. And then phase 5 will be gameplay, trailer release, public demo release, TBA, etc., etc. And then we get to the release of V1.0 on PC in phase 6. Console releases will be there as well. So we'll talk about that in a second. But where you can find really the most information about how this whole project is going to go along from start to finish is really on their Kickstarter. As I mentioned, this has been fully funded. It was funded on November 25th, but it's actually still gaining more dollars behind it, 144,000 now that they're at. And here's all the information about the game, the team behind it, game features that they plan to have, etc., etc. But then at the bottom down here, the roadmap kind of shows the trajectory in terms of a timing scale. So early 2025 is what phase 4 is supposed to be. Alpha release for the Gold Tier Plus backers, multiplayer available in TBA, which we just talked about. That is early 2025. So as we move into mid 2025, because we're now in April, mid 2025, we're getting, July, August area. That's when we should see a gameplay release trailer based on where their initial projections were. And then as we get into the fall of 2025, which again, fall, for those of you that don't know timing of stuff, fall is September to December, technically. And that's when we should potentially see this game. But again, I think that some of this stuff, they're going to kind of just keep working through it. In terms of stretch goals for MTG's targets, we're only about $56,000 away from crossplay being in the game from start. So they're hoping to, still hit that stretch goal, more bike customization, additional real life tracks, and so on and so forth. A lot of these stretch goals, it has nothing to do with what's going to be in the game at launch. I've already talked about this a lot before. The game is going to be launched. They didn't need the Kickstarter to launch the game, but if you want more of these features to be readily available from the start, they needed these, additional funding to hit the stretch goal. But I personally believe, now seeing where they're at with this alpha gameplay release, on top of the fact that MXGP 24 was a massive flop and it was designed in Unreal Engine 5, and now Supercross 25 is getting a lot of flack as well, also designed in Unreal Engine 5 like MTG. If this game looks anything close to what it looks like in that alpha release, and they move it further along and progress it and make the animations better and release a game that physically feels like that to console players, man, I think that the Brinks truck will be unloading. So definitely some positive signs that they are continuing to hit their, kind of roadmap goals, if you will. And the fact that we have some alpha gameplay that has been leaked is, I think, a positive sign that the community gets something to see, something tangible, so that they can continue that, I guess like the push behind it to get more people excited about it and more people ready to play this game, which hopefully we will be playing by the end of the year. So very cool update here on Motocross the Game, which, pre-alpha has been available to some people, and now it's been leaked to some people as well. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens from here. And that has been your Motocross Gaming news update for this week. A breath of fresh air for some people who've been complaining about Supercross 25, but hopefully people are still enjoying that game. Personally speaking, I like all moto games, so I want people to enjoy all moto games, and we try to find the best aspects of all games involved. But for MTG, definitely some exciting news coming down the road, and can't wait to continue following this project. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, let us know in the comment section below, and we'll get right back to you as soon as we can. But thanks for watching Motocross Gaming News this week, and we'll see you guys soon. So long for now. If you liked that video, be sure to subscribe to the channel for much more Motocross Gaming content.